SANWARA Begum is sick, and so is her 18-month-old baby, Yasser. They fled the military crackdown on the Rohingya in Myanmar 3 months ago. The Tumru refugee camp on a small stretch of land sandwiched on the border between Bangladesh and Myanmar is where they live now. When refugees here want medicine, they have no choice but to cross the river into Bangladesh to get it.
It gets damp and cold at night. That's why we got sick and have breathing problems. The water is also very contaminated in the camp. The smell is terrible. We're really suffering here. We can't go to Myanmar, nor can we go to Bangladesh.
The Bangladeshi army says aid workers can't go inside the camp because it is beyond their military jurisdiction. The army also stops people moving into other refugee camps further back from the border. On the other side of the border fence, a Myanmar soldier sits in the bushes only a few meters away from the camp. Other troops patrol the border fence. The Rohingya we spoke to here say they feel trapped and afraid. The Bangladesh-Myanmar border fence is about 100 meters behind me. Across this stream, inside this camp, which is in no man's land, there are around 6,000 Rohingya living. Now, the fact that the Bangladeshi military will not allow aid workers inside that camp shows just how vulnerable these people are. The UN says it's working with the Bangladesh government on a plan to move the refugees in no man's land to camps where humanitarian aid is more readily available.
UNHCR advocates for all Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh to be accommodated within a refugee community, especially for those in difficult to reach areas. So far, UNHCR has a plan to accommodate 16,000 in those areas to be accommodated in the extension of Kutupalong camp. Based on the discussion with the government, the priority now is to accommodate 10,000 of those refugees in the extension of Kutupalong camp.
At least 625,000 Rohingya have fled the recent military crackdown in Myanmar. Bangladesh has been praised by the international community for giving shelter to an ethnic group that has suffered decades of persecution in Myanmar. The Bangladeshis are struggling to cope. The government has approved a $280 million plan to move tens of thousands of Rohingya refugees to temporary shelters on an island on the coast. But it's vulnerable to cyclones and natural disaster. Bangladeshi generosity is being tested. And this means that hundreds of thousands of Rohingya refugees remain vulnerable and scared, especially those forced to shelter in no man's land. Stratford, Al Jazeera, Tumru, Bangladesh.